Outfitters One. Uh, Today I thought I'd share with you some of my hunting adventures this week. As most of you know, the hunting shows on TV, they're bullshit. They always show the perfect scenario where they're sitting there and, the buck comes out just on cue, right into their food plot, right into range, and all of that bull crap. But they never show you the crap that goes on during the week, or the failed hunts, or that sort of thing. And I'm going to show you some video here a little bit later, but I wanted to share some stories with you. I was going to take this hunt because I had about 4 days of good weather, and I was preparing to pack everything up. It's been a few days ago, about a week ago, and get things ready. So I thought, well, I better get my generator ready. So I got my generator out. Of course, it won't run. So I go to looking at it, tearing it apart, trying to see what's going on, whether I got spark, whether I got fuel, what I got going on. And, I had spark, but I thought, man, I really need a new spark plug. It's probably 3-4 years old anyway. So I was having trouble with this thing, and I ended up going to 4 different stores before I could find this off-breed spark plug. The one I had was too short for the long ones, too long for the short ones. And I ran into my buddy Chris Akers from Chris's Auto Repair down Dalton City, and I was talking to him about this generator, and he said, well, it sounds like you got a air leak or vacuum leak, and check the diaphragm, check the carburetor, make sure you got a good seal, that sort of thing, which I'd already had the carburetor off. So I went home, I got a new spark plug, went home, cleaned everything up, everything looked good, put it back together, and it seemed like I was getting fuel to the bowl of the carburetor, but still wasn't firing. So finally I ended up going out to the shed, and I found some old gas line hose and cut me a new piece out of it, and put it on there, and the damn thing fired right up. So I was glad that got that taken care of before I left. But I was going down there after 7 o'clock on Sunday night. After I got off work, I came home. I'd already had the tractor loaded up on the trailer and everything. I come home, dropped off my work stuff, grabbed a couple bags of groceries, a gallon of tea that Sweet Pea had made me, and give her a kiss, and away I went. So nice drive down there. It's about 2.5 hours, and everything was cool. Traffic was good, and I only seen 2 or 3 deer, so didn't have to worry about one running out in front of me. But about 2.5 miles from the farm, it starts pouring down rain. So I'm like, oh, this is great. It's bad enough trying to unload all this stuff in the dark anyway, but now I got to contend with the rain. I usually unload everything from the truck, throw it up on the porch of the cabin. I'll open the cabin up, and then I'll just drag everything in. Well, I couldn't do that because the porch was soaking wet from previous rain. Plus, it was pouring down rain, so I had to make about 15-20 trips back and forth from the truck, carrying a little bit at a time, trying not to get too wet, and trying not to bust my ass on the slick wooden steps. So I'm thinking, oh, this is starting off real good. So Monday morning I get up, and I got my flashlight, and I go down the steps. I shut my flashlight off, and I thought, well, I'll turn it on when I get in the woods and when I really need it, because I know where I'm going. Well, my vertigo wasn't having none of that crap. I don't know if you've ever had vertigo, but you don't want it, and darkness is not your friend. The doctors always told me, make sure you got night lights in your house, because when you go out in the dark, you're going to be messed up. And boy, I was messed up. So I turned the light on and then went out and finally got to my stand. Didn't see nothing. So I decided after hunting I'd go take the tractor out and mow the west side of the field or the farm, and of course I kick up a deer over there. Every time I walk over there, I kick up a deer. But I got some mowing done and was finishing up, and I was kind of bragging on myself, what a great mechanic I am. You know, I rebuilt this tractor. She's running smooth, and I no more got that thought through my head, and she started spitting and sputtering, and I'm thinking, what the hell's going on now? Well, about that time, I shut her down, and big old come out of her, out of the overflow of the radiator, and of course steam went everywhere, and I thought, oh shit. Well, I think what happened was I had just overfilled the radiator, and them old Fords don't like that. They'll puke on you. So I didn't think I heard anything, but I wanted to make sure, so I went and got the truck and the trailer, pulled it over there, and got out my Rule King 5,000 pound winch that I had bought just for special occasions like this, and hooked it up and pulled her back up on the trailer. Went back up to the cabin. Well, I had to fix the wiring going into the cabin because the mice had got into my electrical box and chewed up the wires. So last time I was down there, went to go use the generator, and I had no power in the cabin, so I actually had to run the generator and the cord in the cabin door and then into the lamp, and so I could have some light in there. But so I got that fixed and went back out Monday evening to hunt, and it was overcast, real dark gray, but I didn't see any deer until a little bit after sundown. You can hunt till a half hour after sundown. So right after sundown, I had two does come through, and I got some video of them. It's not real good video, but I did get them sneaking through the woods there, and I thought, well, at least I saw some deer. So no more shut the camera off, and about that time a little one pops out real close to me. So I hit the camera again, and I'm focusing on it, and it's standing there kind of milling around, eating and going around in circles and this and that. And, well, it decided to just kind of stand there, you know, and it kept looking behind it. So I thought, man, there's got to be a deer coming back here behind this thing. And about that time, I heard one raking on a tree. And I thought, well, there's a buck behind her. So pretty soon it come out, and it was a little 4-pointer. I guess he thought he was going to get him some, because he kind of went over to her, started sniffing, and she immediately ran off, and he kind of went off after her. But then I saw another buck coming, and I wasn't sure how big it was, so I went ahead and got my bow up and went ahead and drew the bow. And I thought, well, it's going to come out in that opening, and then I can get a good look at it. Like I said, it's dark. You know, the woods got dark quick, and it comes out, and it's coming broadside. I mean, perfect 35, maybe 40-yard shot. And I'm thinking, you know, I can't really see how good the antlers are. I could see antlers, but I'm like, man, I don't know. He's not huge by any means. So I'm watching him and trying to get a good glimpse of what he got. And I'm thinking, nah, I don't think I'm going to shoot this thing. So I'm noticing my bow, the arrow is tilting down like this. And I'm like, well, what the hell is going on here? And, you know, I thought, well, maybe I'm watching him and I just lowering my bow. Well, my bow was still up here. You know, I'm still like this. And about that time, it was like a little thwack, not like a full shot. It was like the bow kind of went off, and I'm like, what the hell? And the arrow goes like 10 yards right straight into the ground. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? Well, of course, that buck, he turns around, and he's looking. He's like, what the heck was that, you know? He didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. So I thought, well, I better get another arrow in there. So as soon as he turned his head, I reached up to try to grab another arrow. I look at my bow, and the string is like wadded up. Somehow or another, it come off of the cam of the bow. I've never had a compound bow do that. It didn't, my first thought was, did one of the limbs break? Did one of the screws come out? What the hell happened here? So, meanwhile, after he kind of trots off, I'm sitting there fiddling with this bow, trying to get the damn string back on there in case there's something else behind him. And of course, you can't get it without tools or a bow press. So I thought, well, hell with it. I'm going back to the cabin. So I packed up everything and got down out of the tree, reached down there, grabbed my damn arrow. I headed for the cabin. Well, I get about 20 yards and my feet get tangled up on a vine or something. And next thing I know, I'm trying to get my feet to catch up to my ass because I'm radioed in the tower and telling them I'm going down in the Hudson because I knew I was going for a splash. And so I threw the bow or the arrow out of the way so I didn't land on it. I'm trying to hold my bow up in the air, and sure enough, I went down hard on one knee and then face planted, knocked my hat off, and jarred my back. And I'm like, holy shit, what a night! I've always heard Halloween was a great time to hunt, but it was an exciting time, but it wasn't a fucking great time. But I'll show you video of all that little mess that happened there. And I got up and went to the cabin, and I was like, oh geez, I need to give this crap up. But I was able to fix the bow and get out and hunt the rest of the week or 4 days, whatever. So, but here's the video.
If you look up in the kind of top part of the screen, you'll see these two doe working their way through the woods. And, keep an eye on where they're at, because later in the video, after this 8-pointer runs off, he ended up, I think, got on the scent of one of those does anyway. It looked like where he headed up and ended up going out of the woods. But, they were just moseying away in there. One of them's real light, one of them's real dark. I guess that's in their genes or something. I'm not sure what the deal is. I didn't see any antlers on either one of them. But like I said, the woods is kind of dark. The video camera picks up pretty good light. It's about, I don't know, maybe 5-10 minutes after sunset right here. But said it was an overcast gray day, so the woods got dark quick. But the next video, that's the little one. He's right there in front of me, or she's right there in front of me. That's probably not, maybe 20 yards at the most, where she pops out. And I wish the buck would have popped out right there so I could have got a better look at him. But she just mills around. I don't know what she found. She found something to eat, I guess, because she kind of keeps going down there. Looks like she's munching on something. And she's just milling around. She hasn't got a clue anybody's up there or anything's going on. So I just, thought, well, I'll sit and watch her. That's why I take the video camera. So get some action on there, even if you don't actually shooting anything. They're fun to watch. They're fun to watch in their own environment, especially when they don't know that you're there. You see some crazy stuff, you see them grooming each other, you see them going to the bathroom, you see them breeding, they do all kinds of silly stuff, scratching their heads and with their back feet. But she keeps looking back, and, anytime you see a deer stopping and looking back, usually there's something coming. There's something back there. You may never see it. Sometimes you'll hear it. Sometimes it'll come out, sometimes it won't. And that probably just depends on the deer that's out in front of you. You know, if she was full blown and ready to breed, you know, you can bet they're coming out. But if they're on the scent and the doe's not ready, a lot of times they'll just go on around her or just keep an eye on her or what have you. But I didn't notice till I started editing this and watching it that at the very end of the video, there's actually a raccoon that comes out and comes across there. And I never knew that raccoon was even there. But you'll see him on videotape later. Here comes the 4-pointer. Like I said, he thinks he's going to get him some, so he's on her trail, and she's like, I ain't having none of that, so she takes off. He kind of takes off after her. They just go on out the south end of the woods, out into the field. And then here comes the 8-pointer. Of course, he's a little farther out, and, you know, he's hard to see as far as what he's got on his head. And, you know, he's looking back at me. That's the bow had already dropped the arrow, and he's looking back trying to figure out what that noise was. But it didn't seem to bother him. He looks like he's got a little bit of height to him, but he turns sideways, and he's not much wider than his head. I don't even think he's as wide as his ears. So, you know, I don't think I would have shot him anyway, even if he'd have been closer where I got a good look at him. He's going to be a nice buck someday. You know, if he, another year or two, I mean, he's going to be tall, which the one I killed last year with the shotgun, you know, it had some height, so he may be an off-breed of that one. I have no idea. But it didn't really seem to bother him too much. You know, he piddled around there and kept looking back because, like I said, I was messing with the bow. And, but he wasn't really concerned with what was going on. And then pretty soon he gets off, and I think he gets a whiff of one of them does that went through there, because he really heads that way, and then you can see him going to the south once he gets on the trail where they were. And so one of them might be getting close. I don't know. You know, it's a week or so, probably 2 weeks before the real breeding going on, but they're going to start trailing pretty hard. But you can see here on the right, that first big tree in the foreground, there he goes. And then he gets on the trail and he goes right after them. But that first tree there on the right, in the foreground, you'll see that raccoon sneaking through there, that little black spot going across the screen. And, you know, I never realized that the damn thing was even there. He just sneaking through. That's the first one I've seen the whole weekend. You got to look pretty quick on this one. This little spike come through there, and I mean, he come barreling through there. I don't know if he was getting chased by something or if he was trying to cut something off that might have been a little bit farther south and heading toward that field, but he was on a mission wherever he was heading. So he just kind of went out where they all went out. They liked that area.
You know, that's not the only misadventure I had. Thursday morning, I go out, and if I leave my cabin and go in this direct line to my tree stand, there's a stump probably maybe 30 yards from the cabin. And if I go right to that stump and follow that line, it will take me right directly to my tree. Well, I went out there Thursday morning. I saw the stump. I went to the left of it to make sure I didn't trip over it, and then kind of cut around a tree that was also behind it. and start walking. Well, next thing I know, I look over and I can see these triple trees that I know are in that clearing. They're actually west of my tree stand. So I thought, okay, I got to go back to the east there. So I'll go east, and I'm looking for my tree. I'm looking for my tree stand. I can't find that damn thing anywhere. I'm like, what in the world is going on? You know, did I walk in front of it? Am I too far behind it? What is happening here? So I end up almost to the east end of the 10 acres of woods. And I thought, man, I got to turn around and go back the other way. So I turned back around and I'm starting to go the other way, what I thought was west. And like I said, I've been in there hundreds of times. And a lot of times I never used a flashlight. But I go walking. Next thing I know, I'm almost to another field. And I'm thinking, is that the west field? Did I walk all the way to the west side of that 10 acres? So I shine my flashlight back into the thick of the woods. And all of a sudden I spot my dad's tree stand. And my dad's tree stand is clear on the north end of the damn 10 acres of woods. So I'm like, man, I was really lost. I don't know what the hell's going on. So I followed that back through the middle into where I could find my tree stand. So luckily I didn't kick any deer up, but I'm sure I left scent everywhere, but I've never worried about scent anyway. I've had deer come right up there and lick my damn chewing tobacco spit, and I've taken a piss out of the tree and had them come right up there to it and not spook them. So I don't worry about that shit too much. You see that stuff on TV, and big mature bucks. I don't know. I've had big mature bucks come in. I've had them come in with the wind of the ass. So I don't know, but I didn't worry about it. But I was totally lost, man. I got to my tree stand and I was wore out.
So that's what really happens in the woods on these trips. But one of the beautiful things that happen are the sun sets, the sun rises, and this is a sunrise Halloween morning. It was a little bit foggy, and it was just calm, just golden, beautiful. The picture doesn't do it justice, but that's just some of the things you look forward to when you're out there hunting. The game is nice, but even if you don't see deer or turkeys or whatever you're hunting, look around, man. Nature's a wonderful thing, and it's a beautiful thing, and it changes all the time. So, just take the time to enjoy it. It's not all that important to get game. As you see here, I got a GoPro. It hurts my head to have that son of a bitch on too long, but I wish I'd have had that on when I took my tumble going back to the cabin, because that would have been pretty entertaining. If you look at my bow, I don't know how much of y'all know about bows, but there's what they call a peep sight. You can see the green where my sight pins are at. If you look to the right and up just a little hair, there's a little flat black piece. Then when you pull the string back, it comes back and tilts back where you can look through that and look through your pins and line them up, kind of like you would rifle sights. Well, somehow or another, during my trip in fall, I noticed that my peep sight got ripped off of the bow. I mean, it got totally tore off. There was nothing. It wasn't hanging. It wasn't nothing. So this is my solution, a Band-Aid. What else you going to do? Put a Band-Aid on it. At least I know where it was supposed to be. And people will say, man, you're nuts trying to use that. Well, all you got to really do is block the pin. Once you block the pin, you're at that level. So luckily I didn't have to shoot anything and I didn't screw anything up. But when you're in the woods in emergency situations, you got to do what you got to do to try to get your equipment functional. So that's what I did. This is me celebrating, paying off the farm, having a cigar in honor of my pops. He would have really enjoyed this weekend and the weather, or this week in the weather. I keep calling it weekend, but my swing shift schedule screws me up on days. But anyway, he really would have enjoyed it, and that's just me being me. And I'm also celebrating that the cabin. I've stayed there enough times that the cabin has paid for itself over the years. So I was really happy, and just a great weekend. And then this here's just me right before I took off to come back home. I like to get all the pictures I can because, I just, and some of them are repeats, some are the same thing, but they're different years. And you never know when that picture is going to be the last one. So I just turned around, took one, everything loaded up until next time.